If you've been struggling to get your first pull-up, you might want to rethink your approach. It's actually pretty simple to improve your strength to get your first pull-up and beyond, as long as you understand this one principle. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you a whole 6-week training cycle that you can follow along to really improve your pulling strength. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Mike, and here we go over the specific details needed to improve as an athlete. And today we're talking about going from 0 pull-ups all the way to 10. But in order to know what workouts you need to do in order to progress, you need to know what level of pull-ups you're at. And I believe there are 3 levels here. There are actually 4, but we're not going to talk about the 4th today. Level 1 is for anyone who can do 1 pull-up or less. Level 2 is anyone who can do 2 to 5 pull-ups. And level 3 is anyone who can do 6 to 10 pull-ups. I know what you might be thinking. Level 1 is 1 pull-up and below. Wouldn't level 1 be just trying to get your first pull-up to begin with? Not exactly. So there's a huge mental hurdle between getting 0 pull-ups and your first pull-up. But physically and from a training perspective, when you can only do 1 pull-up, you're maxing out. That 1 pull-up is your 1 rep max. And so from a training perspective, you can't really repeat that pull-up too many times. Basically, you're not going to be able to repeat that frequently enough for it to be an effective training tool. If you're training by only doing that 1 pull-up as many times as you can, you're not going to be able to get in the volume that you need to be most effective at improving your pulling strength. Because when you're working on getting your first 10 pull-ups, you're essentially working a strength exercise. And working a strength exercise means that you're close to a max effort. So looking at this from a training perspective, we really want to be working in the 70 to 90% effort range. That doesn't really mean anything. You don't really need to worry about percentages. What you really need to think about is how hard you're trying should feel like a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, or a 9 out of 10. If it's anything less than that, then you're not doing a hard enough progression. And if it's anything more than that, as in you can only do 1 or 2 reps, then it's way too hard of a progression and you need to dial it back if you want to get the most out of your gains. So actually across all 3 of these levels, we're going to be using the same principle of working within this 70 to 90% or 7 to 9 out of 10 effort range, but that's just going to equate to different exercises. So let's get into the different exercises that you're going to be doing for each level. For level 1, the easiest exercise that you're going to do is the row. The next one up for that is going to be assisted pull-up. You can do assisted pull-ups with either a resistance band or you can use an assisted pull-up machine if you are at a gym that has one. And then finally, the most challenging exercise that you're going to do in level 1 is the lock-off hold. I have a bunch of information on the lock-off hold in this video right up here. Feel free to go check that out. I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video about what lock-off hold is. You can go check that one out, but it's essentially just holding yourself at a 90-degree hold. For level 2, which is between 2 pull-ups and 5 pull-ups, the easiest exercise is going to be the assisted pull-up. Next up is going to be weighted lock-off holds, and then the hardest exercise is going to be just a body weight pull-up. And then finally, level 3, which means that you can do between 6 reps and 10 reps. The easiest exercise is going to start with weighted lock-off holds. Then it's going to be body weight pull-ups, and finally, the most challenging is going to be weighted pull-ups. Yes, that is right. If you can do more than 5 pull-ups, you probably should be doing weighted pull-ups at this point. I will get more into that later on in the video. So by now you should know what training level you're at, what exercises you should be doing for that training level. But now how do we put these pieces together? So the protocol that I want you to follow goes as this. For 6 weeks, you're going to be training your pulling strength 2 times per week. That's going to be 12 workouts over the next couple of weeks. Each week, the first workout you're going to do is going to start off with the hardest progression that you can do 5 reps of. If the hardest progression is the lock-off hold, 10 seconds is the equivalent of 5 reps. You're going to be doing this for a different amount of sets per week, but always know that you're going to be starting off with essentially 4 or 5 reps of the hardest progression that you can do. That's your first workout. The second exercise of your first workout is going to be 12 reps. Again, the sets are going to change depending, but basically these 12 reps are going to be split over the other easier progressions in your level. What I mean by they're going to be split among the easier progressions is essentially, so you'll start off with the hardest progression that you can do more than 5 reps of. Right, you just did the hardest progression that you could do 5 reps of, and now you're basically dialing it back just a little bit. And I'm going to give a more concrete example right after this. And you're going to do as many reps of that exercise until you get to 12 reps or you cannot complete any more. If you get to 12 reps, that's great, you're done with the set. But if you cannot complete any more, what you're going to do is you're going to drop down progression and you're going to finish out the 12 reps immediately with that easier progression. This is just called a superset in weightlifting terms. But let's get into a really specific example. Let's say you're in level 1, you haven't gotten your first pull-up yet. You start off with 5 sets of 10-second lock-off hold. When you're finished with that, you're going to do your 12 reps. Let's say you have 4 sets to do this week. So you start off with banded pull-ups, and after 8 reps, you can't get your chin over the bar anymore. That's no problem at all. Now you have a choice. You can either use a thicker band to make an easier assisted pull-up, or you can drop down to rows. There's really no right or wrong answer to which choice to make. It's really dependent on what you prefer to do. But let's say for this example, you decide to do rows. So you've done 8 assisted pull-ups so far. In order to get to the 12 reps, what you're going to do is you're going to come down, you're going to go immediately into rows, and you're going to do 4 rows. And that's it. So then you'll rest as much time as you need, and then you'll get back to your 12 reps, starting at the banded pull-ups again. Let's say you do 7 this time, then you're going to drop down and go immediately into 5 rows. Rest again. Let's say next time you do only 4 assisted pull-ups, then you drop down. Now you have to do 8 rows. Then you do it one more time. Let's say you do 4 assisted pull-ups again, 8 rows. Now you're done. And that's it. The first day of training is just going to be those 2 exercises. And you might be saying, like, this doesn't seem like enough. Like, how am I supposed to get my first pull-up if I'm only doing 2 exercises? But the truth is, you're doing such a high volume. Like, you're either doing 5x5s to begin with, and 4x12, which is like 25 reps plus whatever. That's like almost 50 reps. You're doing like almost 75 reps total. I don't know if that math works out. Someone math check me. So you're doing such a high volume. I don't want to give you too many reps because you don't want to injure yourself. It's always, always, always better to undertrain than to overtrain. So as we're getting into this, we're going to just stick with 2 exercises, and we're just going to get in a high volume of those 2. So what about the second training day of the week? The second training day is going to be what I call the high volume training. So basically there's going to be 2 ways of doing this. It's either going to be time-based or it's going to be rep-based. And what you'll do is you'll choose a moderately difficult exercise. It's not going to be the hardest, and it's definitely not going to be the easiest. For this, I would probably say maybe like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 effort level. And you're going to be doing all the reps at that one exercise. So an example of a rep-based volume workout is basically you have to do, let's just say, 50 reps of assisted pull-ups. And you can do that over whatever time frame makes sense. If you have like an hour in the gym, you just have to get those 50 reps in over the course of the gym. You can do it over the course of a day. You can split it up however you want. You can do sets of 10, you can do sets of 5. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you get in all of those reps. The other one is going to be more challenging. That's going to be a time-based volume session. So basically what I'll say is you have 10 minutes to do as many reps of, let's say, the rows is the one that you choose. You have 10 minutes to get as many rows in as possible, or maybe it's like 15 minutes. This one, the tricky part is pacing. It's really hard to gauge, but that's kind of the point of it is I want you to be pushing yourself. I want you to not take as much rest because you should be working a high volume with little rest. So those are going to be the 2 that you're going to be doing throughout this training cycle. So let's take a look at the actual schedule for the 6-week training cycle. So week 1, your first workout is going to be 4 sets of 5 repetitions at the hardest progression that you're at. And then you have 3 sets of the 12 reps of the remaining progressions. Your second workout of the week is going to be getting in 70 reps. Again, can be however you want. You want to do it over the course of a day. If you want to do it over an hour-long session, however you need to get in the 70 reps, just get them in. Week 2, you're going to start off with 5x5, followed by the same 3x12 as week 1. And your second session is going to be 80 reps. Week 3, we're going to increase your progression. So if you are doing, let's say, lock off, maybe add some weight to you. If you're doing rows, you can bring your feet out just a little bit. If you're doing assisted pull-ups, use a lighter band, or you can jump to the lock off hold. Anything just to increase the progression just a little bit. You're going to do a 4x4 this time, followed by 4 sets of 12 reps of easier progressions. And then your second session is going to be max reps in 10 minutes. So again, try and take whatever rest that you need, but just really try and push yourself in this 10-minute period. Week 4 is going to be a deload week. You've been pushing yourself pretty hard in the past couple of weeks. So we're basically just going to repeat your first workout of this entire cycle. You're going to do 4x5s, which is going to be the same progression as week 1. And then you're going to do 3x12, again, same progression as week 1. And then your second session is going to be max reps in 15 minutes. Week 5, we're going to jump back to the harder progression that you were doing in week 3. So we're going to do 5 sets of 4 repetitions and then 4 sets of those 12 reps at easier progressions. And your Thursday is going to be a doozy of a day. You're going to get in 100 repetitions, again, over the course of the day or over the course of a training cycle. However you need to get in those 100 reps, get them in. Finally, week 6 is going to be your last training week. We're going to stay at the same increased progression that you've been doing on week 3 and week 5, but you're going to do 4 sets of 5 repetitions this time. And then you're going to do 5 sets of 12 reps of easier progression. And on Thursday, you're going to do 80 reps as your volume work. What I would then suggest from here is the next week when you would normally do your first session, retest where your pulling strength is at. If you're working on your first pull-up, maybe see how many pull-ups that you can do with an assistance band. Test out your first pull-up if you want to do that, or if you have a couple of pull-ups, see how many pull-ups that you can do. Regardless, if you follow the schedule for 6 weeks, I guarantee that you're going to improve your pulling strength a decent amount. But depending on where you're at, you might have to repeat this process a few times in order to actually go from 0 to 10 pull-ups. 6 weeks is not a whole lot of time, and building strength does take a lot of time. So you might have to repeat this, but if you're not seeing any improvements or you're not seeing the improvements that you would be hoping for, feel free to comment below. Feel free to reach out in Instagram DMs or anything like that. I'm happy to try and give more tailored exercises for different people because everybody is different. So with that, good luck with your pull-up journey. Please comment below if you do follow this. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know any success or fails that you might have. And if you need a good warm-up for these training sessions, check out this video right here where I go through a really quick and effective 8-minute warm-up. Thanks, guys.